We are doing Extra Life again this year, where you can mash buttons, roll dice, play games, and help kids along the way. I hope you'll be a part of that with us. Stick around after the video for more information. Alright, well, my editing skills are crap, but can the same thing be said about It, Chapter 2? Stick around and find out. Do do. Do do. Do do. Do do. Do do. Do do. Alright, that's actually the theme roughly for The Thing, not for It. So, but that's the best I can come up with. I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions, here with my uncut review of It, Chapter 2. The synopsis on IMDb reads, 27 years after their first encounter with the terrifying Pennywise, the Losers Club have grown up and moved away until a devastating phone call brings them back. Alright, so like the first one, this is a horror movie. It's got an ensemble cast of characters with some interesting traits and stuff like that. They're all grown up now. I do think it leans more heavily on the comedy than I remember the first one leaning on. Multiple times that comedy even diffuses the scary elements immediately after they arrive or simultaneous to their arrival, so I never even had a chance to be afraid, which was kind of disappointing. In fact, very disappointing, because I come to these movies to be like grossed out and weirded out and stuff by the creature. And I didn't find the first one to be very scary, and this one I was almost never even tense the whole time I was sitting in the theater, largely due, I think, to the humor that's liberally spread throughout, along with some creature designs that felt goofy to me instead of scary. The losers, as I said, are adults now. They come back to their hometown to defeat It. Pennywise the clown, they discover, has come back and started its killing again. As they puzzle through the problem of how to kill it, the movie shows flashback scenes that fill in the gaps of the first movie, featuring all of the same child actors that were in the first movie, and I appreciated that. Those were helpful to me. I hadn't seen the first movie since 2017 when it came out, and so it wasn't fresh in my mind at all. So seeing some of those characters again and being reminded of their childhood personalities helped me to connect what the adult performers were doing to represent those same personality traits, or the evolved or grown-up version of those personality traits. This is, it's a creature movie. It's a monster movie. And, whether you're talking about an alien or a ghost of some kind, I like to have a creature revealed over the course of a story. Maybe if it's a ghost, as we learn more about the origins of the curse that created it or whatever. Or if it's a alien movie, we learn more about how it hunts, how it sees and detects the world around it, what it's weak to, and stuff like that. We see visibly more of the monster or the creature over the course of the movie. I really appreciate that kind of a good pacing in that kind of movie, and culminating in this full reveal of the creature at the end, so that the level of its threat can be fully appreciated, and its defeat also makes satisfying sense. The It creature is only given vague and seemingly contradictory origin story elements in this movie. And there's also like this arbitrary Native American ritual that's conveniently / randomly discovered by one of the characters to take with them into the climactic battle to face off against this creature. I was just like, why in the world? So is this thing at all related to Native American mythology? Is that where its origins are? Or did they just figure out a way to defeat it that other people of other faiths or philosophies couldn't figure out? I was just like, why in the world? This just seems like weird. It just seemed weird and arbitrary. And then the nature of the creature itself. Is it an alien? Is it a ghost? Is it both? It was a mess. It was a mess, and never really revealed at the end of the movie. The ending, I thought, was satisfying in how it resolved a romantic subplot and also brought closure for all the characters. But the main core element of it as a monster movie, I found from that standpoint the ending to be very unsatisfying. It felt like a jumbled assortment over the course of the movie that didn't build well to the final reveal and defeat of the creature. They even spent time recreating a scene from John Carpenter's The Thing. That is my favorite monster movie of all time, so in one sense I don't object to that, but in the other sense I'm just like, guys, focus on refining your own ideas, please, instead of just doing a call out to another monster movie. The cast, was made up of solid performances, I felt like, with nice character bits, and the comedy was working for me sometimes. It'll probably work more for you. I seem to have this cold, humorless heart, unless it's a very specific kind of a self-deprecating kind of humor, I think. The actors also played into the fear and horror side of things as well. I did feel like the child actors fell short for me a few times, as they almost always do. It's just, I haven't been able successfully over my life to kind of adjust my expectations when a child actor comes on. I just want them to all be Dakota Fannings, I want them all to be Elijah Woods, as child actors. And that's an unrealistic expectation, but I've never been able to let go of it. And so I always just want, when child actors are used, to just use them to be kids, and what we would normally expect from kids, what kids know and can relate on camera. If they can't cry or convincingly portray panic, then please don't ask them to in your movie, because it just takes me out of it. So but those were just a few scenes. On the whole, I really thought that the child performers were really solid when they were just being kids and doing things that kids typically do and experience day to day. As far as stunts and visuals, I don't have much to say. There were some practical effects now and then, but lots of CG in the movie that moved and looked like CG, to my admittedly cursed eyes when it comes to picking out CG. But that really took me out of the horror almost immediately. There's this scene early on that has some cool creature designs in it that I'm like, ooh, man, that's weird and that's bizarre. But I would have liked it so much more if they would have been practical effects. Yes, I know that probably would have taken more time and been harder to pull off maybe, but, you get what you pay for. You get what you invest time in. And this just felt like, there's some CG creatures, the design is cool, but the execution just took me out of the experience. As far as themes, is there anything of moral, philosophical, or spiritual significance going on in the themes of this story that might stimulate some worthwhile thought and conversation? I do think so. There are some arguably pro-gay pride agenda moments. One scene is taken from the book, as I understand. I haven't read the book, but I just did a little brief research on this before hitting record. And there are other elements that were added to emphasize what in the book were just light hints of the sexual attractions that one character had for another. They really played those up and just added to it to bring that out. I think that, when those kinds of elements are in a movie like this, that Christians are not likely to connect with the drama as intended by the creators, but neither do I think our response should be anger. Maybe not even frustration. I think frustration might be called for, but anyway, there's some heart searching to do there to make sure that's the right kind of frustration. I think in these cases, when stuff like this pops up in movies, we're better off taking that opportunity to listen carefully and discern what the writers are reacting to. What are they saying is bad in the world? What mistreatment are they reacting to that we can agree with, that we can get on board with and sympathize with? We don't have to agree that same-sex attraction should be pursued in order to agree that gay people should not be beaten to death. We don't have to support the pursuit of same-sex romantic attractions when they spring up in ourselves in order to have compassion for someone who feels like they can't share the truth about their attractions for fear of condemnation by their friends. There is a place of holding to the truth and having genuine compassion that we as Christians need to get closer to. That's an area we need to grow in and a target we need to constantly be aiming at, I think. Now, the far more prominent theme to me seems to be about dealing with the hurts of your childhood. The it creature, Pennywise, personifies the ghosts of these characters' pasts thematically and is empowered by their fear and their sense of guilt or shame. One character regrets not being there for his brother. Another was afraid to tell his friends about his same-sex attraction. Each character has some baggage affecting them as an adult that they picked up from the experiences that they had when they were children. And the movie requires them in the story to face those parts of their past head-on in order to find freedom and to defeat the enemy. Now, while this movie doesn't effectively equip us to deal with our problems, to think that it does would be to really oversimplify the complexity of problems that we have because of things that were ingrained in us during childhood. Even so, I think that it can remind us of the need to confront those problems, to not simply just, live with them, but to confront them, to deal with them, and to get help from others as we work to heal from the hurts of the past that are kind of enslaving us and enslaving our decision making and the things that we commit our lives to today. For some of us, that will mean talking to a counselor or a therapist, or opening up to a friend or a pastor. Now, I could pick at some philosophical statements that are affirmed in this movie, but I would agree with the idea that I think is subtly conveyed in this movie, that if we want to heal from our past, if we want to face the wounds of our past and heal from them and find peace and freedom, we can't do it alone. Or at least we are very ill-advised to do it alone. As the movie even seems to suggest, trying to deal with our past wounds alone may instead actually lead to self-destruction. All right, well, I have no idea what your tastes are in movies, but if I were a time traveler, I'd go back in time and say, Peter, oh man, skip this one. You weren't crazy about the first one, and while not boring, this movie was not scary and had a hugely disappointing arc and reveal for the creature at the end, and that's something that you really go to these kinds of movies for, is for a really cool, slow reveal of the creature, and you're just going to be totally confused and disappointed at the end of this experience. All right, you can get my spoiler-filled reactions to It Chapter 2 in my Spoiler Car video series, just one of many perks available for your support over at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. This one is rated R for disturbing, violent content and bloody images throughout, pervasive language, and some crude sexual material. All right, let's see here. Right now I'd like to take some time to write a tune for pre-made rhyme. The lyrics kind of never change, but yeah, that sounds better. Melody gets rearranged. I'll never know what I'll create to say how much I appreciate barbells and joysticks, Libre, Stefan Kramick, Winston Crutchfield, and Colin Wright, unless it's pronounced Colin, but I'm not sure, he hasn't gotten back to me yet. Thank you for supporting me, and SVP, and CGC, and now to all who hear this tune, thank you as well. Please come back soon, want to hear your name in song. Check out our page on Patreon. All right, those are my thoughts. I'd love to get yours in the comments below, and then please like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell, whatever you want to do to share this content and stay in touch with it. I would greatly appreciate that. Then I hope you'll join us over at christiangeekcentral.com as we continue to geek out and seek the truth. It is time for Extra Life again, and I'd love for you to be a part of it with me. Here's a recycled but slightly modified promo to tell you more. Once again this year, Christian Geek Central is participating in Extra Life. This is a charity that raises funds for the Children's Miracle Network of hospitals, which provides free medical care to children whose families could otherwise not afford it. And this is very often for critical, life-saving treatment. Joining our team only requires a willingness to ask your family and friends to consider donating toward your fundraising efforts. Participants also usually do something fun and game-related to draw attention to their fundraising efforts, like a special game night at your home or your church, or like me, you could do a crazy 24-hour video gaming marathon. Now, I'm theming it around video games, but really this event can be themed around any kind of gaming, which includes both video games and tabletop games of any kind. What you do to raise funds is entirely up to you, but I would love for you to consider joining the Christian Geek Central Extra Life team. As team leader, I'll be there to help answer your questions, provide some helpful tips if I can, and just in general be your fundraising cheerleader and try to draw attention myself to your fundraising efforts. You can get more information about the event as a whole at extra-life.org, and if you choose to sign up there, be sure to select Christian Geek Central as your team so I can get in touch with you and then just help in whatever way I can. Fundraising can begin at any time, but our main push is going to be through the month of October leading up to November 2nd. That's the annual Extra Life Game Day, when I'll be streaming my 24-hour video gaming marathon live and trying to stay awake without throwing up. More details on my live stream as we get closer to it. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.